Premier League recap this weekend. There was a lot of games that weren't on, unfortunately. A lot of postponed fixtures, big fixtures. Chelsea, Liverpool, not on. Manchester United, Leeds, not on. A lot of other games as well. But we were treated to a few cracking games. And I want to sort of go over some of the talking points over this weekend. And I think the first place and the only place to start is Manchester City, Erling Haaland, bags again. Manchester City don't even seem to be getting out of second gear and they're just brushing teams aside with absolute ease. Haaland, I am going to hold my hands up and say I was one of those people, one of those Chelsea fans as well, that didn't think Erling Haaland would quite reach the expectations that people were suggesting he would. And I retracted that sentiment about 3-4 games ago because I just saw the way he was making a mockery of defences. The movement is sublime. Erling Haaland has got very little standing in his way into becoming one of the greatest Premier League players. For me, the only thing that stands in his way are injuries. That was my reservation with Haaland, and he did pick up some big injuries at Dortmund that put him out of fixtures for weeks. Yeah, I think there was one that even ruled him out for a few months. And I just thought that could potentially be part of his story. But if he keeps himself in good condition, Erling Haaland can reach the very top. The heights that have perhaps never even been achieved. The heights that Harry Kane is potentially about to reach, beating Alan Shearer's top Premier League goal scoring record. I think Haaland could very well reach that if he stays at City for the long run. And Pep Guardiola is still in charge. I can't see City not being a dominant force for years to come. They've got a system that just allows players to slot in when other players are perhaps not performing to their capabilities or starting to age a bit, and new players are coming in. The recruitment process at Manchester City is, second to none. Absolutely incredible. But they are just brushing aside teams. Wolves, Grealish scores a goal within the first minute, and it's good to see because I would like to see Grealish feature in this World Cup, but he needs to start putting out some good performances and he needs to start getting some goals and assists, which he himself openly admits that he doesn't do enough of. I know he hasn't ever really been a player to sort of churn out numbers in those areas, but if you play for Manchester City and you've got those players around you, there's no reason why you can't be scoring more goals and getting more assists. And I think that's something that Jack Grealish will in time do. Obviously, big price tag, but I think Grealish could prove some of the naysayers wrong this season if he is able to get a few more goals and a few more assists. But Man City, I can't see them losing this momentum, and they're an unstoppable force at the moment, and Haaland is just obviously a lot of talk, but he clearly is the missing piece to that puzzle. And seeing them in the Champions League this season will really be interesting to see if that is what separated them from finally achieving Champions League glory. Now, another game that I had my eye on this weekend was Tottenham Spurs. I've been speaking to a lot of Leicester fans, and they're at dismay with Brendan Rodgers at the moment. The way Brendan Rodgers has been talking in the media about the ins and outs at Leicester, not really a very Mr. Morale at the moment amongst Leicester fans or the team, it seems, because when I look at that starting 11 that Leicester fielded against Tottenham, it's a strong team. Yes, they've lost Kasper Schmeichel. Yes, they've lost Fofana, but there's still a lot of quality in that team. Dewsbury Hall, Harvey Barnes, Patson Daka. They've got James Maddison. They've got quality going forward, but it's just not translating. And it might be Brendan Rodgers is the next manager to get the sack. A lot of players, ex-players of Leicester, a lot of pundits are fearful for him, and they're not really confident that he is going to remain in that job. And taking a beating like that to Spurs, well, that was a bit embarrassing for them. But Sonaldo is the man I want to talk about briefly. He's dropped by Antonio Conte for this game. He hasn't been in a rich run of form. He hasn't scored in 8 games, I believe. And oh, how did he repay and silence the naysayers? He comes on and bags a hat-trick, and what a hat-trick it was. Just what a player he is. On his day, he's absolutely world-class, and his day is very frequent. I think he's absolutely fantastic player, and Spurs, the way that they're playing, the little improvements that they've made, a lot of talk when it comes to North London is about Arsenal at the moment, which we'll get onto in a sec, but Tottenham are just as impressive. Yes, they're a point behind Arsenal. Antonio Conte has really created a monster. Richarlison starts ahead of Son and just offers them another outlet now. They've got depth in that area. Not all the responsibility now is on Kane and Son. You know, they've got Kulusevski, they've got Bentancur, they've got goals can come from all over now. And Eric Dyer is playing out of his skin. England call up again. You know, a player that I thought was definitely on the decline is now back in and amongst the running and a strong contender to go to the World Cup for England. And he seems to be an immovable force at Tottenham as well at the moment, and it's just all down to the manager. Conte has got Spurs playing in an incredible way and scoring 6 goals. That is just a testament to the attacking threat that they have at the moment, and they're looking incredible, I must say. And as a Chelsea fan, it's not easy for me to say that, trust me. Another game that I thought was very interesting was Everton-West Ham. Now, Everton pick up their first game. Neil Maupay scores his first goal for Everton in their first win of the season. And you've got to give Frank Lampard a lot of credit. He was definitely a lot of managers' favourites to be sacked. A lot of people's favourites to be the first manager sacked this season. He's steadied the ship. He's brought in some great players. Tarkowski, Connor Cody, Iwobi's playing fantastic. He's in a rich vein of form, and it looks like things could be slowly turning for Everton now. After a very strange last season, they might be reaching the heights that they might potentially be able to reach the heights that was expected from them after that huge investment. And Lampard deserves a lot of credit for that, I would have to say. West Ham, something is not right at West Ham. I think it's now time to start. Alarm bells are ringing, and I think that Everton and West Ham was the other game that I had my eye on this weekend, and Everton win 1-0. Neil Maupay scores his first goal. Everton pick up their first win of the season, and you've got to say that Frank Lampard has got things turned around at Everton finally. Yes, it's their first win of the season, nothing to get too excited about, but they have been playing a lot better. He's made them a very difficult team to beat. The players that he's brought in, Tarkowski, Connor Cody, Neil Maupay, these are players that have left teams that are perhaps higher, that are playing better than Everton, but he's managed to attract them and he's managed to galvanise the team, and they are playing so much better. Alex Iwobi is playing fantastic. He's having a great start to the season, and Everton, they could be on the up and up from here. And I thought this was a potentially interesting game because West Ham could not afford to lose this game, but they do. They're playing very well in Europe. But something is not ticking in the Premier League, and something that's probably got to change. A lot of the players that they used to rely on to get them out of sticky situations, Jared Bowen, Antonio, these players are not quite putting in the performances that I'm sure West Ham fans would like to see. Jared Bowen was massive last year, and I haven't really, even towards the end of last season, he sort of lost a bit of form. But he isn't quite proving to be an attacking threat for them at the moment. He's not really getting himself in and amongst the goals, and West Ham are struggling at the moment, and definitely something needs to change. I've got faith that they will turn it around and they will be, on that top half of the table, but at the moment they're in the mud, and I'm sure David Moyes will be looking closely at what he can do differently how he needs to get the best out of their new signings, Skamaka, and their midfield talent, Paquenta. It's just not ticking at the moment. Emerson as well. They've brought in the players, but yeah, they're really suffering with form and momentum, and they're going to have to turn it around quickly, or it could be a very poor season for the Hammers. And then last but not least, it's hard to not talk about this weekend's football action without discussing Arsenal. They beat Brentford 3-0, and they're looking like a completely different team. If you think about the team that lost to Brentford at the beginning of last season, and some of the players that were in that starting 11 that are no longer there, and the replacements, it's quite astounding. This Gabriel and Saliba partnership, and Ben White now playing on the right, is looking like a stroke of genius. They are probably the best centre-back pairing in the league at the moment. The fact that Arsenal are not even conceding goals is what is increasingly worrying for the rest of the league. And Arsenal, I've got the sauce at the moment. North London has 100% got the sauce, and people are looking on in pure admiration. Gabby Jesus has completely come into this team, and he's looking like a player I didn't even recognise. I didn't even know he had these attributes at Man City. Yes, I knew he was quick and agile, but the way that Arteta's got him playing, he's just being able to bring out the best of Jesus and do things that I literally didn't know he was capable of. The way he's beating players and dribbling past 2-3 guys, it's just outstanding. And that front three, Saka, Martinelli and Jesus, is just, it is quite, yeah, it strikes a lot of fear in a lot of defenders. But, you know, they haven't played any of the top 6. They've played United, they lost, and I think a lot is to be said about Arsenal bouncing back from that loss to win. It's impressive. But I do think there's still a few hurdles they need to jump over. There's a few points to be proven. They need to play more of the top 6. We need to see consistently, how that Thursday game in Europe is going to affect that team. But they're a squad now. They've got a squad. They bring on Vieira. He scores a peach of a goal. And now they've got a new Vieira, just out of nowhere. Oh, Arsenal are looking very good. It's painful for me to admit that, but I have to give credit where credit's due, and Arteta is rallying the troops, and he's got them playing out of their skin. So credit to Arsenal, and I'm sure it's a good time to be an Arsenal fan at the moment. Do they have enough to pip City to the title? I'm not sure. We can definitely call them contenders at this moment, but I'm not sure I see City dropping too many points. And there's still a few things Arsenal have got to prove to get a real vote of confidence for me that they will finish in the top 2. There's still a few things that need to remain to be seen. But guys, let me know what you think. It was an interesting weekend of football. Obviously, big games weren't there, but we had to make do with what we had, and I'm just grateful there was some football at least. Last weekend was very drab and dreary. But let me know what you think in the comments. Hit the like button if you like the video, subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you guys in the next one in a bit.